Review: A Book I Couldn't Put Down. Green Edge by Jeff Cranston. Menzies for Climate.
To meaningfully address climate change, we need to look at the big picture and ask what forces are at play impeding emissions reduction. A book I've read recently helps to answer this question. The Invisible Doctrine, 2024, by George Monbiot and Peter Hutchinson.
Dominant ideology.
The authors refer to neoliberalism as the dominant ideology of our times that has come to affect nearly every aspect of our lives. They go on to say, it has caused or contributed to most of the crises that now confront us: rampant child poverty, epidemic diseases of despair, offshoring and erosion of the tax base, the slow degradation of healthcare, education and other public services, the crumbling of infrastructure, democratic backsliding, the 2008 financial crash, the rise of modern-day demagogues like Viktor Orban, Narendra Modi, Donald Trump, Boris Johnson, and Jair Bolsonaro, our ecological crisis and environmental disasters. But what is neoliberalism? The authors describe it as an ideology whose central belief is that competition is the defining feature of humankind, and that we are greedy and selfish, but that greed and selfishness light the path to social improvement, generating wealth that will eventually enrich us all. Neoliberalism, often described as capitalism on steroids, supports allowing the market to be left to its own devices, free of government intervention and regulation that characterize Keynesian economics, rewarding enterprise and creativity and enabling entrepreneurs to generate greater wealth.
The failure of neoliberalism.
From about 1980, neoliberalism, championed by leaders like Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan, supplanted the competing ideology of Keynesianism and was promoted on the basis that freeing up the market would produce wealth that would trickle down to benefit everyone. However, as the book points out, the opposite has occurred, as the rich have become richer and the poor have become poorer. As taxes of wealth, people and corporations diminished, the spending power of both the state and poorer people contracted, reducing economic demand. The authors view neoliberalism as having failed to deliver what is promised, instead inflicting devastating harms both on human society and the living planet.
The Earth Systems Crisis.
They devoted chapter to perhaps the greatest of all market failures, involving the exploitation of the natural world over the period of neoliberal globalization and severe impacts on Earth systems on which our lives depend. The chapter's key points include the following. While Soviet and Chinese communism have also caused spectacular environmental disasters, it is capitalism that has been universalized across the planet with catastrophic environmental consequences, and neoliberalism is the accelerant. For neoliberals, the consumption of the living world is not just collateral damage, but something approaching a sacred duty. Neoliberal globalization seeks to outsource pollution to places where political resistance is weakest. Kleptocracies in the poor world and communities desperate for jobs are used as dumping grounds for everything from tires to fast fashion and hospital waste. But pollutants like carbon dioxide, regardless of where they are dumped, have global impacts, as carbon dioxide does not disperse but accumulate in the atmosphere. The effects of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases are, like most impacts of capitalism, felt most by those in poorer nations that have benefited least from their production. Our predicament, the greatest humanity has ever faced, is often characterized as climate change. But it would be more accurate to call it an Earth systems crisis. Soil degradation, freshwater depletion, marine ecology collapse, habitat destruction, species extinction, and the impact of pesticides and other synthetic chemicals may be comparable in scale and effect to climate breakdown. What we are witnessing is the breakdown, at astonishing speed, of our life support systems, driven by capitalism, accelerated by neoliberalism.
Menzies for Climate's view.
The Invisible Doctrine is a highly articulate and thought-provoking book that presents a succinct and powerful case against neoliberalism. It is recommended reading for anyone wanting to understand the economic forces that shape our world and the challenges we face in mitigating climate change and protecting the environment.
Jeff Cranston is a member of Menzies for Climate, a local climate action group. Find them on Facebook. This story was read by Rebecca Rose and James Poyner.